It is not hyperbole to say that the posting tantrum that Donald Trump just went on is the most destructive of his entire presidency and should set him up to be removed under the 25th Amendment. Donald Trump has lost his mind. He never had it, but it is gone in a way that I did not know was possible because Trump is actively leaking his war plans for Greenland at 3 a.m.
Yeah, what's up, YouTube? It's almost 3 a.m. on Eastern Time in the morning, January 20th, and your president has successfully taken off his diaper, sat down on his most likely golden toilet in the White House, and decided to not only leak tweets and private conversations between him and the Secretary General of NATO, if it's even true, because Trump is not a verifiable source. He's also spent most of the night, most of this AM in the dark on the toilet, threatening Canada, posting AI slop. And there's a very, very, very important why I decided to get on here now is because I'm going to be following the reporting of Jack Cocherella. And he's a great, great reporter. I love him. But he has a headline that says, Trump war plan leaks. And he even says further in his reporting about war plans, it's not war plans, but it is still dangerous. That distinction must be made. He did not leak war plans. And the reason why that distinction must be made is because the war plans that we know of has been rejected by our military. And I think that's also worth saying. You can't leak war plans that don't exist. The war plans that most likely do exist are those that have been made for every country on Earth that we've had for many, many years. And those are just kept for just in case, because that's what you do when you're an evil empire. Fine. We accept that. But no. Trump has asked his generals to come up with a war plan or come up with an invasion plan for Greenland, and they flat out said no. So no, what Jack Cocherella says about war plans leaking, it's not it. What it is the affirmation, maybe the 100th, of a president who's losing his mind, who's sundowning and still staying up, who instead of sucking his binky and going to his bed shaped like a race car next to his G.I. Joes, refuses to go to sleep and gets more and more delirious by the passing minute. I actually have a whole nother video to record tomorrow, which is talking about the reality of the situation, what it's like in the EU, from our Irish correspondent, who's following very closely. That might just be negated by this childish imbecile. I'm going to show you what Jack says. We're going to go through it piece by piece so you understand the context at 3 a.m.
conference in which he was asked about Greenland, and what he said is the tantrum we expect, but it set up this crazy posting spree.
What do you plan to say to European leaders in Davos when they push back on your Greenland plan?
Well, I don't think they're going to push back too much. Look, we have to have it. They have to have this done. They can protect it. Denmark, they're wonderful people. And I know the leaders are very good people, but they don't even go there. And, you know, because the boat went there 500 years ago and then left, that doesn't give you title to property. So we'll be talking about it with the various people. We've had tremendous success, and I've done more for NATO than anybody else. I don't think you'd have NATO right now. I got them to go 5% and pay as opposed to 2% and not pay. I've done more than any other American president for NATO by far. And we'll see how that goes, but really so.
Can you speak to your letter that you wrote to Prime Minister saying that the Nobel Prize has influenced your thinking on Greenland?
No, I don't care about the Nobel Prize. First of all, a very fine woman felt that I deserved it and really wanted me to have the Nobel Prize, and I appreciate that. If anybody thinks that Norway doesn't control the Nobel Prize, They're just kidding. They have a board, but it's controlled by Norway, and I don't care what Norway says. But I really don't care about that. What I care about is saving lives.
Now here we see two cans of spray tan Sam here in the dark, shining brightly through orange painted skin, talking about the wars that he stopped. Nonsense. Talking about the need for Greenland. And I just want to talk to you for a second about why that's so stupid. Because he says that Greenland is at risk from Russia and China. Meanwhile, on his own security team, his peace team, he's invited Vladimir Putin. What are we talking about? What are we talking about? He's not a credible source. So, knowing that he's an unreliable source, it seems to me that there's only two parts of the statement that he's made out there in the dark that are important because of what they mean to everybody else in the world. Number one, I've done more than any other American president for NATO. As an unreliable source, of course not. As a context, as a world leader, you need to know that the treaty that NATO has says that if anybody attacks a NATO country, then all of NATO is obligated to fight in its defense. But when you're a part of that treaty, when you've signed that, all of NATO includes you, us, America. What he's doing is attacking America. What he's doing is attacking America. I've done more for NATO. No, every threat is a dismantling of NATO. And while all of the other people in the other countries are sending their military there to Greenland to defend against another NATO country, we are part of NATO. He's attacking America. That is the biggest, the most telling part of this lie, of this debacle. The second one is when he says that Norway controls the Nobel Peace Prize. The letter that he just sent today to Norway, he says he doesn't have to think about peace anymore because he didn't receive the prize. Peace for peace sake is unattainable with a buffoon, monkey, orange orangutan like him. That's what he's letting us all know. If you didn't know it before, world, you know it now. And this brings us to the next point. Everything that Canada's doing or did and finally realized they're not going to do anymore and just went off and dealt with China to get their own deal going on. And everything that the UK was doing up until fucking 5 seconds ago when they realized, okay, well, we're just going to cut him off. They should have been doing from the beginning because the negotiation, the peace, the standing in the world, all of it meant nothing. It was simply, now that I don't have a prize, now that there's no way for me to get the prize, I don't have to think about the peace anymore. Everything is only about the next piece of candy he can get. And when you give him one, he'll eat it and ask for more. You should have cut him off a long time ago. And here is the proof.
Because we know Donald Trump doesn't follow through on his plans. Everything's 2 weeks away, I guess, except for Greenland. And it's why he is leaking his own war plans. Donald Trump first wrote, "I had a very good telephone call with Mark Rutte, the Secretary General of NATO, concerning Greenland. I agreed to a meeting of the various parties in Davos, Switzerland. As I expressed to everyone very plainly, Greenland is imperative for national and world security. There can be no going back. On that, everyone agrees. The United States of America is the most powerful country anywhere on the globe by far. Much of the reason for this is a rebuilding of our military during my first term, which rebuilding continues at even more expedited pace. We are the only power that can ensure peace through the world, and it is done quite simply through strength, President Donald J. Trump." Trump then posted this image of him, Vance, and Rubio in Greenland planting an American flag, and as you can see it says Greenland, U.S. territory established 2026. But that's not even the worst part, because Donald Trump also followed that up with a post that shows the United States seemingly dominating most of the Western Hemisphere, taking control of Venezuela, taking control of Cuba, taking control of Greenland, taking control of it all.
Well, at 3 in the morning when you post in the White House, the Oval Office, you talking to people, and the picture has an American flag on top of Canada and the entire North America. The threat is obvious. The threat is obvious. At what point in your negotiations for the past freaking year, Carney, did you think it wouldn't end up that way? This isn't war plans. This is, of course, the machinations of a 5-year-old in an 80-year-old wrinkled orange pea bag body. On the other hand, he was treated like an adult. And so you're going to find him on Dr. Phil's show lashing out at his parents because you didn't treat him like the child that he was. Again, it's not war plans. That is the most important part of all of this. This isn't war plans. What it is a continuous barrage of education. We're learning more and more every day about the sack of almost dead, orange, dried up skin cells attached to a pea bag we call a president. And what we've learned is he is not a credible source. That's all we've learned. It's imperative that we know that he made these statements and that the world is reacting to them. Yes, it's also imperative not to call it war plans. It's not. It's not what war plans look like. These are machinations of a 5-year-old in a race car bed. And the last one.
Trump then, for some reason, continued the leaking and shared his conversation with Mark Rutte, the NATO Secretary General, and wrote, "Mr. President, dear Donald, what you accomplished in Syria today is incredible. I will use my media engagements in Davos to highlight your work there in Gaza and in Ukraine. I am committed to finding a way forward on Greenland. Can't wait to see you. Yours, Mark." I have no words. I have no words.
And this is where it's important to understand he is not a credible source. If, by chance, the Secretary General of NATO actually said this to him in a way to appease him or to whatever it is he thinks he's doing playing 4D chess, it's the dumbest move ever. What's he talking about, Syria? Let's watch this.
In military buildups in the north and northeast. After weeks of fighting and military buildups in the north and northeast, finally a ceasefire in Syria. Celebrations nationwide heralding the cessation of hostilities. In Raqqa, a former stronghold of the Kurdish-led Syrian Democratic Forces, now under government control, people said it was a chance to unite a country that has been divided for too long.
God willing, Syria will become better than all other countries through development and reconstruction under the leadership of President Ahmed al-Shara.
That seems amazing. I'm not sure what Trump had to do with it, but they're giving him some credit for having this talk because he did have a talk with the leader. This is amazing. Huh? Oh, the story's not done. Here.
But within 24 hours of the agreement between the government and the SDF being announced, it was clear an end to the violence would not be so simple. Reports of fighting in parts of the country, both soldiers and Kurdish fighters killed in various confrontations. With so much military hardware and manpower spread across large tracts of Syria, and years of animosity and division, transferring control of territory and resources proved easier to agree on paper than in practice.
And there you have it. There you have it. That's what happened at 3 a.m. this morning. Number one, Trump is not a reliable source. So I'm not even sure that the Secretary General of NATO sent that message. To report it like it is taking Trump at his word, which is a fool's errand. But even if he did, there's another reason. There's something deeper. There's something wrong with that. Or it meant something other than what Trump says it means. When he says, I'm going to see how we can go forward with Greenland, of course he is, by sending more troops there. I'm not taking Trump's context. You're not taking Trump's context. It's important to know, take the education, understand that we're led by an Imbecile. A sack of orange dried skin cells, almost dead skin cells attached to a pea bag for a president. On the other hand, they're not war plans, they're machinations of a child in power who's dangerous because he's a child. That's important context. Time to fight is now. I'll have more on this tomorrow in an actual report of the reality of things.
Hey, yeah, you. Before you click away to watch someone unbox a tactical toothbrush, let's talk about something real. Political Drain isn't just another content mill. We're a digital front in a very real war. Not with bullets, but with ideas, with action, and with solidarity. We pair urgent news with critical education. And we build community around actual resistance, not the hashtag kind. The kind that moves. But here's the thing. None of this is free. It isn't. Behind every video is time, labor, research, and some weird guy asking if we're going to pay the hosting bill. And yeah, some of that money goes to things we can't necessarily say out loud. If you know, you know. Let's just say our special ops aren't Call of Duty LARPers. They're people making real moves to protect, uplift, and organize. You're not just funding a channel. You're funding a resistance network in a world where capital still calls the shots. Unfortunately, in a system built on artificial scarcity, even mutual aid has a price tag. And if we want to grow, if we want to win, we need your help. We need your help. So if you've got even a few bucks to spare, toss it our way. It's not for ads. It's not for merch drops, but for people making moves in the shadows so others can do it in the light. It's just us and you. So fund the mission, fund the fight, fund the future, because nobody's coming to save us. We save each other. That's how this works.